But to make sense of Singapore's design future, we have with us in the studios Mr. Low Cheaw Hwei. He's chairman of the Design Education Advisory Committee. Good evening, and thank you for coming into the studios.
Thank you for having me.
All right, Mr. Low, I will take the first question, and I will pick up with one of the three recommendations that you, as chairman of your committee, came up with. And I quoted word for word, creating a globally recognized design education system that will make design a necessary life skill. For me, superficially, there are a lot of contradictions there. An education system that teaches me a life skill. A life skill is something I learn because I want to, and it's a skill that I keep revamping and updating as I continue to grow older. What has education in a formal education setting have to do with something like that?
No, I think that's a very pertinent question there. And before I start, perhaps to explain what the DAC is about. So the DAC is the Design Education Advisory Committee. And this is a committee appointed by the Ministry of Trade and Industry and launched by the Design Singapore Council in April 2020. The formation of this committee goes all the way back to 2016 when DSG, Design Singapore Council, has the Design Master Plan for 2025. One of the thrusts that was recommended is to infuse design as a life skill. And this committee is really the response to it and to embed that with the design education. This design education committee comprises of members from all the IHLs, both Institute of Higher Learnings, comprising of both the design IHLs and also the non-design IHLs as well, including practitioners from the design industry as well as the non-design sector. As part of this committee, we also have representatives from government agencies to sort of tap into the connection and also the voice of policymakers as well. So these three groups coming together really shape this committee. And our role is really to shape the quality of design education, as well as to embed design into the nation's education system.
So in shaping the quality of design education, what factors did you actually take into account if the pursuit is to create this innate capability and as Wesu said, develop a life skill, design as a life skill?
That's right. So perhaps we can take a step back and to see, to understand what is going on around the world, right? And I don't mean just the pandemic that we are coming out of. Before that already, the world and the economy is heading towards a more innovative and experience-based kind of economy. And the other aspect would be that the industrial revolution that we're going through, the fourth industrial revolution I'm referring to, we're looking into disruptive technologies like digitalization, artificial intelligence, automation. All this are actually rewiring our economies today and really creating new and complex challenges, which leads us to really reassess how do we work, live and play, right? Not to mention that attention towards sustainability as well, which is a huge topic in itself, again, posing a lot of complex problems and challenges that we have. And what is interesting is that we picked up from the World Economic Forum Future of Jobs report in 2020, that in order to maneuver in this new economy, in this new world, they have listed down a set of 10 skill sets, right, which are essential, out of which 7 actually are inherent in design, right? And let me give you an example, and that's why we have listed down also in the report itself, that out of which the examples of the skill sets which are inherent in design would include analytical thinking and innovation, right? Complex problem solving, critical thinking and analysis.
Which brings me back to my first question, which I feel you still have not answered, which is essentially, whatever we want to call this, analytical thinking, design, active learning, what you want is to create better quality thinkers in Singapore.
Yes.
The question still is, how do you educate people so they become better quality thinkers?
Yeah, I think this is exactly why we want to have this recommendation so that we can start to embed these creative problem-solving capabilities, and really design is a creative problem-solving capability more than anything if we were to distill it in its form. And what we want to do is that not just embed it with the design education, but also embed it in the non-design education, really proliferating this capability that we feel is necessary for us to build a robust workforce going ahead, right? Which is agile, and then one who has the ability to respond to that new world that I just talked about. Yeah.
So in a sense, design that has nothing to do with design, you can sort of, design shouldn't just be part of the design sector. You've got to be able to take that out of design school so that in whatever sector you're in, you begin to think, to have this mindset shift. And we often talk about mindset shift.
That's right.
But that's essentially what you want to begin to do, to shape Singapore's future as we go forward, because there are so many changes that are occurring, so many new things that we're having to do.
I think we broadly, understand design through the design disciplines, the deliverables that the design discipline brings. And let me give an example. What I refer to is the design of a building, the design of an interior, right? A furniture, a product, a piece of graphic, and a fashion, for example. I think we are familiar with that. But what design has evolved into is also beyond a discipline into a capability. And this can be applied into industry, into non-creative industry. In fact, you see banks right now having design teams, hospital having design teams to look into innovation. Even business consultants right now are employing designers. Their job titles, their name card may not read designer at the end, but they are definitely carrying the capability of creative problem solving.
In a sense, you're kind of changing this, maybe an entrenched notion of what design is in the first place, correct? So
that's right.
So I mean, what I hear you say at the heart of that is there are problems that need to be solved, and they could be anywhere.
Absolutely, and as I said, in this whole new world that we are in, we have to be prepared for it, and that's exactly what this committee is striving to do, because we have two main tasks. One is actually to embed design into the non-design education, as we talked about, and the other, it is about how do we then shape transdisciplinary practice in the design education part of the sector.
Thanks so much indeed for joining us, helping us trying to understand this better. We're speaking with Chairman of the Design Education Advisory Committee, Mr. Low Cheaw Hwei. Thanks so much for joining us.